Bitcoin is undervalued. And I think even at 100K, 150, 200, it's still undervalued. And then you have Solana and everything. Everything is overpriced right now for the altcoins. So I think it's normal. We come down, they shake off, and then we go back up.
Samson Mow is unwavering in his bullish stance on Bitcoin, and he believes the journey is just beginning. He envisions a future where Bitcoin's power, its inherent freedom, will be embraced by all 8 billion people on Earth. As adoption and the process of hyperbitcoinization steadily expand across the globe, Mow is confident that Bitcoin's impact will only grow. Despite the price fluctuations, hovering around $94,000 to $100,000, Mow views these movements as a natural result of long-term holders cashing in on their profits, perhaps to purchase personal assets like houses or cars. Once this cycle clears and adoption continues to rise, he predicts that Bitcoin's price will surge again and its dominance will be re-established. Stay tuned as Samson delves into the strategic advantages of Bitcoin's reserves, the potential impact of a Trump presidency on Bitcoin's future, and what this all means for the price of Bitcoin. But before we dive deeper, take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. Your support means the world to us and helps keep us going. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more insightful updates on crypto and investment. We can't thank you enough. Enjoy the video.
Yeah, so I've been predicting 1 million for a while, and hopefully I'll hit sometime, but I believe this pullback is very normal because the altcoin market was overheated. If you look at XRP, Ripple, it was $3. That's ridiculous. With Bitcoin at 97 or so, Ripple is still at 260. And then you have Solana and everything. Everything is overpriced right now for the altcoins. So I think it's normal. We come down, they shake off, and then we go back up. Bitcoin dominance increases again. But Bitcoin dominance is really intellect measurement, like how much money is being allocated to altcoins. And that needs to drop before we can take off again, I believe. But overall, Bitcoin is undervalued. And I think even at 100K, 150, 200, it's still undervalued.
And what's the case for it being undervalued?
Well, there's just so much demand for Bitcoin right now from MicroStrategy, from the ETFs, from nation states, from ordinary people buying and hodling, that I don't think people have fully realized that most of the year's supply of mined Bitcoin is already gone a few times over. So you have to understand there is ultimate scarcity in Bitcoin. And I believe the understanding of ultimate scarcity is very far away still. People just can't wrap their heads around there only being 21 million. And when the price drops, people kind of feel confident that I can get it later. But then Bitcoin rips and then there is no later. Like imagine being able to buy Bitcoin at $10,000 a coin. Again, it's not possible. And this milestone of 100,000 will be gone again.
And you say that there's a lot of demand, right? There's the talk of the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Of course, MicroStrategy buying Bitcoin, a lot of companies following in the footsteps of MicroStrategy, like Metaplanet, like Sumler Scientific. And it seems like all their stocks are performing because of it. Salvador continues to buy massive amounts of Bitcoin. My question to you is, why is the price still at $97,000?
There are obviously OGs or old hodlers that are going to sell something and, buy a house, maybe enjoy life a bit. So there will always be some coins that are sold outside of the mined supply. But there's also roughly 2 million coins that sit on exchange for market making, trading, and arbitrage. And those 2 million coins, it's dropping obviously. And it was at more than 2 million before, but now it's at, around 2 million. But that is enough for the coins to drop the market. And a lot of it has to do with Bitcoin being a 24/7 market as well. So this drop, I believe, is related to the tariff war. American, Canadian, Mexican, we're all going to tariff each other. And it's just panic. So Bitcoin being the only 24/7 liquid market is the only thing that can react immediately. So it's sort of like the market sentiment is taken out on Bitcoin. We're the first to move, the most volatile and the biggest move. And then the equities markets and everything else follows after that when the markets open. Such an antiquated concept, right? But that's what it is. But going back to the point, those 2 million coins is enough to move the market a little bit. And the impact of those 2 million coins, I believe, is becoming less and less pronounced as we increase hodlers. So if you break down the schema of who impacts Bitcoin price, you have the hodlers. Zero impact. They're just sitting on the coins. And in ways you can look at it, they're coiling up that spring. Then you have the buyers. the people that are DCAing either like by day or by month, or you can say MicroStrategy is also in the DCA category and hodling, but they're actively in acquisition mode in Metaplanet. And like you said, then you have the traders, which is kind of that 2 million coins. So that is kind of what is driving the market. And Bitcoin will always be volatile because you have that slush fund of coins on exchanges, but that is going to be drained over time. And we do see that. And it makes it more pronounced, the coil up effect from the DCAers and the hodlers.
Absolutely. What do you think about Trump being elected?
I think Trump is the best choice of the current slate of candidates that we have right now, and probably the best option for America moving forward in this period of time, because he's able to bring together different groups. Like he brought Elon Musk. You might think he's a shitcoiner and whatnot, but he is the richest man in the world and influential and capable. He's able to bring RFK group, the people that are concerned about health and other things, and some activism, environmentalism. So he's able to kind of bridge together different segments of the population that hasn't really been done before in recent times. So I think Trump coin, Melania coin aside, it was the best choice that America could have made. The other choice was Kamala and dark times, more Elizabeth Warren, choke point 3.0, everything bad possibly for Bitcoin and the crypto industry. But now we see the tariffs, and that's another interesting can of worms. But at least you can see that the tariffs are going to be great for Bitcoin. I think near term, people that are affected by the tariffs, they probably can't see it, or if they're not into Bitcoin, they may not be thinking about this, but it's going to drive a lot of people to look at Bitcoin and protect themselves.
Under the Biden administration, Bitcoin adoption in the US faced fierce resistance. One of the most notorious moves was Operation Chokepoint 2.0, a strategic clampdown on crypto and Bitcoin-friendly banks aimed at stifling progress and slowing adoption. The message was clear: halt the revolution before it gains too much ground. When Samson Mow was asked if this was a deliberate attack to undermine Bitcoin's growth in the US, his response was as powerful as it was simple. Let's get more of Samson's insights on this.
Definitely. It was a kind of covert operation to throttle Bitcoin and crypto adoption. And it's really just to protect the existing system, right? Protect the Fed, protect the dollar in a certain way, protect the banking system in a certain way, and all the incumbents, right? And you see that with, closure of some of the banks for absolutely no reason. I think Signature, right? It was just closed for no reason whatsoever. And if you guys had elected Kamala, you would have, 3.0, another version of Choke Point. And without the new checks and balances that Department of Government Efficiency is trying to introduce.
It sucks that he named it after Doge.
Yeah, take the good with the bad.
It was a massive troll. What do you think about Ross being freed?
I think that's the most important thing. So I had a wish list for Trump. I had some predictions and a wish list. I think if he just frees Ross and stops attacking Bitcoin, like stops the attack on Bitcoin hodling, I think that's enough. A strategic Bitcoin reserve, it's good for the government. It doesn't really do much for the people, except for a mass education program for the people. Like, okay, the government has it, now I should have it. But outside of that, it doesn't really do anything for your average person in the US directly. Paying off the debt would be beneficial for US individuals, but
If they used it for that.
yes, if they use it, but you don't know what they will use
That's
it
a
for.
big if.
And you don't know what the composition will be yet either because it's not a strategic Bitcoin reserve now, it's a digital asset reserve, which is broad and diverse and inclusive, but we don't know yet what's going to be in there. And hopefully it'll be just Bitcoin, but there are obviously altcoin projects lobbying to be included, like Ripple.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's really interesting about El Salvador is how much it's been focused solely on Bitcoin. It's like it's resisted that. How come?
I think President Bukele is a Bitcoiner. Trump is not a Bitcoiner. He spoke at, Nashville conference, but he's not a Bitcoiner. He's done a lot of other crypto-related projects, and I don't think he fully understands Bitcoin, and you can kind of pick that level of understanding out from his speech. If you compare his speech to RFK's speech, it's a world of difference. So he's more crypto, right? And that's probably why the US is not as Bitcoin maximalist as El Salvador is. So we'll see how things go over time. But there are a lot of lobbying groups in the US, obviously, too, exchanges that are trying to push them towards, crypto. And if it diversifies the reserve, that's probably why.
So recently the IMF and El Salvador reached an agreement so that El Salvador would receive a loan. And I think a lot of people are seeking clarity in terms of, is Bitcoin still legal tender in the country?
Yeah, so it's confusing. And I would say the breakdown is this. It's a glass of water. It's kind of at the halfway mark. You can look at it as half full or half empty. So the Bitcoin law has been softened, or you can say neutered a bit. They've amended it to comply with the IMF agreement, almost to the letter. So everything they said in the IMF agreement, they've amended it. But I think the key thing is the amendments leave the door kind of open. It's ambiguous. So there is still a Bitcoin law, but Bitcoin is no longer a currency. And it is legal tender, but it is now voluntary. So what does that mean exactly? It means Bitcoin is legal tender. There's no capital gains tax still.
Okay.
There's another line in there that says you can use Bitcoin. The government can't now. So there is this Bitcoin law. Bitcoin is legal tender. But what is a legal tender without enforcement? Not that there was before. It always has been voluntary. So you can look at it both ways. Like, some people are reacting very strongly and saying, they capitulated, they bent the knee to the IMF and, because they sold us out. And they're very disillusioned. And then you have the promoters of El Salvador and Bukele, and they're saying, yeah, we won. We're going to take the money and buy Bitcoin with IMF money. But I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. There was a compromise. There was adaptation. The law itself is weakened, but Bitcoin still has a standing here in El Salvador.
Do you believe that this was a setback for nation-state adoption?
It's to be seen.
Okay.
It's to be seen. It's not really a setback for nation-state adoption. I believe nation-state adoption has already taken off. So once El Salvador made the move, we started going forth. I started Jan 3. I brought on a lot of amazing people to the team, and we put together this network of people going out and engaging. We've met with the president of Madeira. He said, I'm going to make Madeira, a place for Bitcoin. We met with presidents in many countries around the world. We've met with regulators, politicians, and even central banks. And the tide, I believe, has turned. We now have some central banks reaching out to us. Someone passed them our email, and we got an email a few months back saying, we would like to discuss hyperbitcoinization.
No way.
Yes. And then the emails are, from the central bank. We said, yeah, we're happy to talk. We know who introduced us, but then they sent a meeting invite, and the meeting invite was hyperbitcoinization.
Was it like a Google Meet?
Yes.
So it was just on a calendar, Google Calendar, hyperbitcoinization, and you're meeting with the central bank.
Yes.
And that's a wrap for today's video. We hope you got tons of value from it. Now, let's hear from you. What do you think about Samson Mow's bullish take on Bitcoin? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to see it. And of course, make sure to subscribe for more Bitcoin and crypto updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.